That may have done little for Michael Penix's Heisman candidacy, but it sure did a heck of a lot for Washington's playoff hopes. Huskies defeat the Beavers in Corvallis 22-20. Never an easy feat. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We appreciate your support. Please like the video, share the videos out on social media, and subscribe. All right. Yes, Washington wins the game. They go to 11-0. There's a number of aspects of this game that were interesting. Just a hard-fought football game. Of course, Oregon State wants to stay to the ground game, and Damian Martinez was a man from the get-go. From the very first carry, he had 86 yards in the first half. He finished with 123 on 26 carries. It was very much a game in which he was tough to get a handle on and certainly bulldozed a bunch of linebackers and safeties in the Washington secondary in the first half. Then they started to contain him as they just said, you know what, we're crashing the line of scrimmage. We're bringing 9 in the box. We're coming downhill. We're bringing the safeties because we do not respect the downfield passing attack, and we don't count on DJ Uiagalelei to beat us downfield throwing the football. So we got to stop this guy. And they did throughout most of the second half, but Martinez with some big traction runs in the fourth quarter that almost sprung the upset and got Oregon State a win in this one because they went down 22-10 early in the second half. Jalen McMillan, one of the best wide receivers in the Pac-12, supposed to be back in the lineup, was back in the lineup, but did not factor into this football game for Washington. And another factor in this and trying to stop Damian Martinez on the Husky side coming into this, a thin defense, both from the standpoint of just overall depth, but also some injuries, especially to the secondary at the safety position in particular. And also the defensive line was a bit thin in trying to handle this Oregon State rushing attack with Martinez, with Deshaun Fenwick as well. Jermond McCoy dropped an interception early when it was a 9-7 game. Huskies led it after a safety. Michael Penix not off to a great start. He was 4 of 13 after being razor sharp on the first drive, and he threw a touchdown pass to, of course, Rome Odunze, who was always the number one target. But especially in this ball game, Penix really just looked for Odunze, who was the only one making meaningful downfield plays. 5 catches for 79 yards in the first half for Odunze. He finished with over 100 yards receiving, I believe, 7 catches for 106. But Michael Penix at one point missed 7 consecutive throws. And again, 4 of 13 late in the first half. He finished 13 of 28, so this was not a Michael Penix night through the air. He picked up a couple key first downs with his legs. He's an athlete. He can run. He's got long strides. He's a strong runner. He doesn't like to do that, but he can certainly do it. Oregon State, on their side of the football, bringing in Aiden Childs, despite the struggles of DJ, don't know that was necessarily effective. I know that he's the future. I know that Jonathan Smith definitely knows what he's doing. He's one of the best minds in the game, leads the program, has brought Oregon State football back from the abyss. So I'm not challenging that necessarily, but in a high-leverage game, Aiden Childs a bit out of his element. At this point, in one particular series, Braylon Trice sack closed down the series that Childs was the quarterback, and he had a batted ball at the line of scrimmage. Interesting play in the late second quarter as Dylan Johnson raced to the end zone, seemingly broke through the Oregon State secondary, looked like he was going to score a touchdown, but this was the first in a series of miscues back and forth that looked like it might continue through the night because there was a pretty heavy rain in the first half. It subsided to a certain extent in the second half, but it was still a wet game. Guys were sliding all over the field. You'd see a dude that would throw another guy to the turf on a tackle, and he'd slide 18 yards down the field. But Dylan Johnson hidden down the field, and Katan Oladapo, tremendous player, leader on this team. He's got 36 starts, just a smart football player, knew that he wasn't going to stop the play. Johnson was off to the races, but punched the ball out from behind as Johnson was going into the end zone. And that turned over the football to Oregon State. But the Beavers then trying to bring the ball back out of their own end zone, did pretty much the same thing as Gould made the reception, but Braylon Trice with the strip from behind. Jabbar Muhammad, we should talk a lot about him. He gets a fumble recovery as he hustled down that play, and Jabbar Muhammad in the second half really factored in this game. What I didn't understand, so let's set you up because Oregon State closed the gap here. It was 22-10 going into halftime. Oregon State comes out with the football. Uiagalelei throws a bad interception, which he did not read the safety crashing and coming across the middle and jumping the route. And Washington's in great shape. The Oregon State defense held. Washington misses the field goal. So they're about to go up 29-10. They missed the field goal at 25. It's still a 22-10 game. Uiagalelei in the second half kept throwing these passes down each sideline, and most of them against one of the best cover corners in college football, Jabbar Muhammad, who would have nothing to do with it. It was just useless. I just can't express why he continued to do this. Pick on the best player on the field, number one. Number two, throw up these, I guess they were 50-50 balls. I didn't see them complete any of them. And DJ, just for the amount of time that he's played, and I defended him a number of times at Clemson because the offensive line pass pro was not Clemson standard when he was there, and the wide receiver play declined considerably. So he didn't have those kind of dudes to throw to, but he acts like he's got those kind of dudes at Oregon State, and he doesn't. He's got a decent wide receiver core, but he continues to just toss the ball up down the sideline with no idea of who's going to bring it down. Doesn't even give the guys a chance to bring it down. Throws the ball out of bounds many times. And now the wide receivers a couple times did pin him up against the sideline where he didn't have room to throw it. But this just happened over and over and over again. Oregon State just not equipped to play that kind of football game. They got the ball back late after another defensive stand, and they were only down at this point 22-20, just needed a field goal, and they had 6.5 minutes. Well, they take their approach to it, and they basically want to say, okay, we don't want Michael Penix with the football. This is our last stand. This is the drive that's going to win the game. They don't try to conserve time. They go all the way down the field. They pick up some first downs. But then Uiagalelei misses some throws again, misses some wide open throws, and also just makes decisions that don't make sense. So it's not always a bad throw. It's most of the time a bad choice, but also some bad throws on this night. Again, the ball was wet and the conditions were not the best. Again, Penix 13 for 28. This is not the Heisman game for him, but they move a step closer to a Pac-12 championship, ensuring they get to the Pac-12 title game with this win. They've got the Apple Cup, of course, coming up next week as it is Rivalry Week, folks. I love this. This is the best time of year in college football is Rivalry Week. And another good one, the Civil War. Oregon State, the Beavs at 8-3. And, of course, Oregon is just trampling everyone, including Arizona State today. So, good football game. Washington continues to rise, and with the Florida State injury to Jordan Travis, we'll see what the College Football Playoff Committee does with that. Your thoughts below, Beavs and Huskies, and they may see each other again, actually. No. The Oregon State has now lost 3 in the conference, my bad, but there's still a factor in there with some other teams, including Arizona. We'll break down all the scenarios this week involving the Pac-12 and the rest of the conferences that are up for grabs. Notably, the Big 12 is still a logjam, and the Pac-12 has some possibilities, but the ACC lined up with Florida State, Louisville, the SEC with Georgia, Alabama, and, of course, the winner of Ohio State and Michigan against Iowa. Leave your comments below. Subscribe. That way you can hit the bell for the notifications to know when we go live. Give me a call on our next call-in show right here at the Voice of College Football.